Some people say your home reflects your state of mind, but I think sometimes it's the other way around. When my house feels messy, unfinished, like nothing really has a place, my mind starts to spiral. It's not always the big messes. It's the little things that build up. A pair of shoes in the hallway, a cup on the counter, a purse tossed on the chair. Each one feels small, until suddenly I'm snapping at my kids or staying up too late just to reset. And for a long time, I thought I needed more time, more energy, a better system. But what actually helped were the 1-minute things, tiny shifts, barely noticeable at first, but over time they changed everything. So today, I'm sharing 10 habits that take almost no time, but make your home feel calmer and your day feel lighter. These are the habits I go back to, especially when I'm tired or everything feels like too much. They're not fancy, they're not about perfection, but they're real, and they work. Let's start with the one that surprised me the most. The first habit that really changed how I take care of my home is this one dress up for the day. Now I know it might sound like it has nothing to do with clutter or mess, but honestly, it's one of the biggest mindset shifts that helped me stay on top of things around the house. When I first quit my job and started staying home full-time with the kids, I kind of fell into this routine of just throwing on whatever. Old t-shirts, pajama bottoms, stuff I didn't really care about. I figured I'm not going anywhere, so what's the point? But what I noticed over time was the more I dressed like that, the less motivated I felt. I moved slower. I'd walk past the laundry basket for the 3rd time and think, I'll deal with it later. Dishes would stay in the sink longer, and clutter just started to pile up, not because I didn't care, but because I felt so blah. Then, one day, I decided to try something different. I didn't get all fancy or anything. I just put on a clean t-shirt, jeans, brushed my hair, and put on a little lip balm. Took maybe a minute. But that one small act made me feel more awake, more like myself. I stood up straighter. I got moving. And that energy kind of carried into everything else, wiping the counters, putting things away, resetting little areas of the house. Now getting dressed every morning is just part of my routine. I don't do it to look nice for anyone else. I do it for me. It's my way of saying, okay, I'm here. I'm showing up today. Especially on those days when everything feels like too much. This is the habit that gets me unstuck. Just changing into something fresh helps me shift out of that sluggish, what's the point feeling. It sounds small, but it matters. So if you're having one of those days where everything feels like a mess and you don't know where to begin, start here. Change your clothes, even if you're not going anywhere. It's not about looking good. It's about reminding yourself, I matter. Today matters. And tomorrow, I'll be walking you through exactly how I tackled one of the hardest areas in the house to keep tidy, the living room. It's that space where everything tends to land: toys, mail, coffee cups, laundry piles. And somehow it always feels like a mess, even when you try to stay on top of it. I'll show you what I did to simplify that space and what's actually helped it stay clutter-free without constant effort. So be sure to check that out, but for now, let's keep going with today's habits. The second habit that makes a big difference in keeping our home tidy is this: put your clothes, shoes, and purse away right when you walk in the door. Not 10 minutes later, not after dinner. Right away. And I'll be honest, I didn't always do this. I used to walk in the house and just drop everything. Shoes kicked off wherever, purse flung on the couch jacket over the dining chair. You know the drill. At the time, it didn't feel like a big deal. It was just, I'll deal with it later. But then later would come. And now I've got shoes in the hallway, bags on the chairs, maybe even a sweater on the floor. And every time I'd see those things, I'd feel a little more tense. Like the house was yelling at me with all these little undone things. So one day I decided when I walk in, everything goes back right away. My purse has a hook by the door. My shoes go on the rack, takes 5 seconds. Coat goes in the closet. That's it. And it's wild how much of a difference that makes. The entryway stays clear. I feel more settled the second I walk in. And I'm not constantly stepping around piles of stuff that make the house feel messier than it really is. It also sends a message to my brain like, okay, we're home now. It's a reset moment. Especially after a long day or running errands with the kids, I need that pause. That feeling of dropping the outside world and stepping into calm. And honestly, this little habit makes it easier to keep the rest of the house clean too. Because when the entryway is clear, I don't feel behind before I've even taken off my shoes. If your home always feels like it's a little off, check your drop zones. Where do your things land when you come in? Give them a home and start using it. Takes 1 minute, but it sets the tone for everything that happens after you walk through that door. The third habit is this: deal with your mail as soon as you bring it in. Don't let it pile up. I used to be the kind of person who'd grab the mail, toss it on the kitchen counter, and completely forget about it. Days would go by. Then one day I'd look over and realize, oh great, there's a stack of random flyers, bills, appointment letters, and who knows what else just sitting there. And every time I saw it, I'd feel this little mental weight. Like, ugh, I should go through that. But then I'd put it off again because now it looked like a chore. And that's the thing, mail itself isn't overwhelming, but piled up, untouched mail, that's where the stress creeps in. So what I started doing was super simple. I go through the mail the second I bring it inside. Before I even set down my keys. I stand right there, sort it over the recycling bin, and only keep what's actually important. Flyers gone. Envelopes I don't recognize. Tossed. The rest, bills, appointment reminders, things I need to follow up on, go into one clear folder in a drawer. That's it. It honestly takes less than a minute. And the best part, I never have those days anymore where I'm like, where's that insurance letter, or did I miss a bill? Because now everything either gets tossed or goes into its proper spot right away. I also don't use a cute mail basket or tray anymore, because for me, it just became a holding zone where papers went to die. Instead, I just deal with it in the moment, in and out, done. If mail tends to pile up in your house too, don't overthink it. Just build the habit of acting on it right away. Maybe that means creating a simple routine like mail gets handled before I even take off my shoes, or keeping a small bin near the trash where you can sort right on the spot. It's one of those tiny habits that clears both your counter and your mental load at the same time. The fourth habit is something I didn't realize I needed until I tried it, and now I can't imagine not having it. It's this: have one small bin near your door for things that are leaving the house. We call it our go bin. Before this, I'd always have random stuff sitting around the house that I meant to bring somewhere, a birthday gift for a friend, something I borrowed and needed to return, library books, packages for the post office. But I never had one spot to put them. So what would happen? I'd set the item on the stairs, then forget. Or I'd leave it on the dining table and get annoyed that it was still sitting there a week later. Or worse, I'd finally leave the house and realize halfway to my destination, ugh, I forgot the thing I was supposed to bring. Now I've got a small tote basket by the front door. Nothing fancy, just something that fits on the little bench where we put our shoes. And anything that needs to go out of the house goes in there. Returns, borrowed items, even stuff I'm decluttering and planning to drop off. It's simple, but it works because I see it every time I leave. I don't have to think or remember, I just glance in the bin and grab whatever I need. It's also helped keep our counters and other surfaces clear because before this, I'd leave outgoing stuff in random places just so I wouldn't forget. But then it became visual clutter and I still did forget. Now it all has one home, and more importantly, it's out of my head. Because I don't know about you, but I'm carrying enough in my brain. I don't need to also remember where I put that Target return from last week. So if your house always seems to have those little floating items you don't know what to do with, try a go bin. Just one small container by the door can save you so much time, frustration, and second guessing. The fifth habit is super simple, but it makes a huge visual difference. Clear your floors. Not perfectly, not obsessively. Just enough so you can walk through your space without stepping over piles, toys, or random stuff that doesn't belong there. I used to think the floor wasn't that important, like if the countertops were clean, the house was clean. But over time I realized when the floor is messy, the whole space feels messier, even if everything else is fine. And I don't mean deep cleaning or vacuuming every day. I just mean pick up the things that don't belong on the floor. Shoes that didn't get put away. a sweatshirt someone dropped, a toy that's been sitting there for 3 days and everyone's stepping over it like it's invisible. Here's what helped me build the habit. I started doing a quick floor check once a day, usually right before dinner. Not a big cleanup time or anything, just 1 minute of walking through the main living area and picking up anything out of place. I'd throw it in a basket, or even just put it back where it goes if it was quick. Sometimes I'll even play a little game with myself, like how fast can I clear the floor in this room? And it's kind of ridiculous, but it works. Because after just 1 or 2 minutes, the room instantly feels calmer, lighter. You can see more of the space and that weird edge of tension starts to drop. What also helps is making sure things have a place to go. If stuff ends up on the floor constantly, that's usually a sign it doesn't really have a home. That's how we ended up adding a shoe basket by the front door and a soft bin in the living room for throw blankets. It made cleanup so much easier. So if your home always feels messy, no matter what you do, look down. Clearing the floors might be the easiest first win. It's fast, it's satisfying, and it gives you instant momentum, which on hard days is exactly what you need. Habit number 6 is one of my personal favorites because it's so simple, but it stops so much clutter before it starts. It's this: if something takes 1 minute or less to do, just do it now. Sounds obvious, right? But for a long time, I didn't do this. I'd finish my coffee and leave the cup on the counter. I'd come home and drop my bag in the hallway, or I'd fold the laundry but not put it away because, I'll do it later. The problem is, later doesn't usually happen. And all those little things, the mug, the bag, the laundry, they pile up fast. Then suddenly the whole space feels messy and I feel behind even though each task was tiny. So I started trying this rule: if something takes under a minute, do it now. Rinse the mug and put it in the dishwasher. Toss the wrapper in the trash. Hang the jacket instead of dropping it on a chair. Small, quick things that honestly used to sit around for hours or even days before I got to them. And the more I did it, the more I realized it's not about being perfect or constantly moving. It's just about interrupting that habit of "I'll do it later" that ends up creating mess and mental clutter. One thing that helped me really see this was when I timed myself. I literally set a timer and asked, okay, how long does it actually take to put this stuff away? Most of the time it was under 45 seconds, which made it harder to justify putting it off. It also shifted my mindset. Instead of seeing things as another thing to clean, I started seeing them as quick wins, little resets. And honestly, doing these small tasks right away makes me feel more in control, which is especially helpful on days when everything else feels chaotic. So if your home feels like it's always just a little messy, no matter how much you clean, try this. If it takes less than a minute, do it now. You'll be surprised how much calmer your space feels by the end of the day. Habit number 7 is all about clearing visual clutter, and it's this: use in-cabinet storage as much as you can. Basically put stuff away instead of leaving it out. I used to be the kind of person who kept everything on the counters: my cooking utensils, spices, toaster, blender, even extra paper towels. It wasn't that I didn't want to be organized. I just thought, well, I use this stuff every day, so I should keep it out for easy access. But honestly, it made the whole space feel busy and kind of overwhelming, even when it was technically clean. There was always something on every surface, and it made wiping things down harder too. One day I just got tired of looking at it all and thought, okay, what if I could put away just one thing? So I started small. I cleared one drawer, just enough space to tuck my cooking spoons inside. Then I found a new spot in a cabinet for my toaster. It wasn't a big overhaul, just a few shifts, but it made a huge difference. Now I try to keep as little as possible on my counters. My rule is, if I don't use it every single day, it gets stored inside. The result: my kitchen feels calmer, it's easier to clean, and I don't feel like I'm always staring at a to-do list of things I should wipe or organize. This works in other spaces too: bathroom counters, bedside tables, even the living room. Hiding things inside drawers or bins doesn't mean you're being lazy or hiding the mess. It means you're giving your eyes and your mind a break. So if your home looks clean but still feels chaotic, look at what's sitting out. What could be stored behind a door, inside a cabinet, or in a drawer? You don't have to do it all at once, just one surface at a time. Habit number 8 is something that took me way too long to try. But once I did, it made life so much easier. Use labels. I used to think labeling was only for super organized people with matching containers and perfect handwriting. Like, unless you had a Pinterest pantry, what's the point, right? But turns out labels aren't about looking pretty. They're about saving your brain power. What I noticed was, even though I knew where I wanted things to go, other people in my house didn't. So I'd organize a drawer or a cabinet, and then a week later, things were back in the wrong place. Not because anyone was being messy, they just didn't know my system. Once I started labeling shelves and bins, especially in shared spaces, like the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry area stuff, actually stayed where it belonged. Spices stayed in their row. The bin labeled snacks only had snacks. My kids knew where to put the extra toilet paper without asking. Even for myself, labels help me stick to my own routines. I've got labels in my fridge now, and it actually helps me use up food before it goes bad. I'm not digging around wondering what I bought last week. And you don't need anything fancy. I've used masking tape and a Sharpie. I've used printable ones from the dollar store. It doesn't have to be aesthetic, it just has to be clear. So if your stuff keeps ending up in the wrong place, don't just reorganize, label it. It's one of the easiest ways to keep your system working after you've decluttered. Habit number 9 is super simple, but makes a big difference, especially in the kitchen. Wash your snack dishes right away. I'm not talking about a full sink of dinner dishes, just the little stuff. The plate from your toast, the coffee mug, the spoon you used to stir something. Tiny things. I used to leave those out thinking, it's just one plate, I'll clean it later. But of course, later never came. Then my husband would leave his mug and the kids would add their bowls, and by evening the sink was full. What should have taken 2 minutes now felt like a 20-minute chore. And worse, I'd feel frustrated at myself for letting it build up again. So I started doing one small thing. If I used a dish for something quick, I cleaned it right after. Rinse, wash, dry. Done. If I had the dishwasher going, I'd pop it in there immediately. It sounds like nothing, but it keeps the kitchen from feeling like it's constantly in progress. There's something so satisfying about glancing at the sink and seeing it empty. It feels like one part of the house is already under control, and that helps more than I expected. So if you're someone who always feels behind in the kitchen, try this one habit today. Next time you grab a quick snack, take 1 extra minute to clean up after yourself. It'll save you so much time and frustration later. Habit number 10 is probably the one you've heard 100 times, but I'm telling you, it really does help. Make your bed. It takes maybe 1 minute, but it sets the tone for the whole day. I used to think it was pointless. Like, why make the bed if I'm just getting back in it later? But then I tried it just as a little experiment, and the shift was immediate. Even if the rest of the room was messy once the bed was made, it felt like something was under control. It gave the space a sense of order, even if only a tiny bit. And at night, coming back to a made bed just feels better. It's like the difference between walking into chaos versus walking into calm. That little moment of pulling back the covers, climbing in, and feeling like the day is done, it hits different when the bed is made. I don't do hospital corners or 10 pillows. Just a quick straighten of the blanket fluff, the pillow's done. So if you want one win first thing in the morning, make your bed. It's fast, it's simple, and it gives your brain that small I did it boost to start the day. And that's it, 10 one-minute habits that really do make a difference. You don't have to do them all at once. Start with just 1 or 2 that feel doable today. Because it's not about being perfect. It's about creating a home that feels calmer, lighter, and a little more yours. These tiny shifts are how I slowly pulled myself out of that constant cycle of mess and overwhelm. They're small, but they work especially on the hard days. And if you're wondering where to go next in the next video, I'll be sharing how I tackled one of the trickiest spaces in the house, the living room. Toys, bags, dishes, laundry piles. I'll show you exactly what I changed to get that space under control fast, and how I've actually kept it that way. So if that's something you've been struggling with, make sure you don't miss it. Go ahead and like this video if it helped, share it with a friend who's feeling a little buried, and hit subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.